Our clients are global, regional, established, or startups. For many organisations, we provide bespoke salary surveys so they can understand what is needed to attract talent across the continents. Our offices in Europe, UAE, and Australia, with our affiliates in North America, can recruit talented people as an embed, contract, or permanent hire. Our executive recruitment undertakes global searches for many organisations. We provide a unique corporate talent connection for security, risk, resilience, through to our sales and technical divisions, recruiting engineering staff. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to our surveys. Look out for our links for our 2025 salary surveys for Asia Pac and the Middle East. The survey captures data across 40 professional sectors. We undertake 3 regional surveys: the Middle East, North Africa, Europe, and Asia Pacific. 32% of respondents believe their current package is undervalued, but that's down from over 60% back in 2018. The annual wage growth across Europe in quarter 3 2023 averaged about 5.2% according to Eurostat. If you had your role revalued in the current year, your increase in salary would have averaged around about 9.6%. In 2023, the percentage of employees subject to salary revaluation fell behind those receiving an annual increment, which is a trend reversing the last couple of years. What concerns you in your day-to-day role? C-suite perceptions on the current threats. What about M&A activity, which is now prevalent after a quiet couple of years? Geopolitics, following the 7th of October attacks. What about the war in Ukraine? Lack of people diversity. Many of you say this doesn't exist within some of your IT and physical security teams. And communications across the generations, where we now have something like 5 generations working with the alphas soon to be upon us, well, at least within the next 5 to 7 years. Breaking down power silos, better management. These are the types of things that many of you have spoken about. And then, of course, attracting your successors. What will the successor in 5 years' time look like? As a business manager in the security hot seat, how are you readying yourself for the future? What are you doing with artificial intelligence? How can you use that in your applications? And how will you fund them? What seat do you occupy in the crisis suite? This is now one of the areas which is occupying most of us. How do you maintain your kudos after the pandemic response that you gave, which everyone congratulated you upon? How strong are your peer groups? And are you protecting budgets that help you deliver against organisations' return on investments? And then also, how is your organisation factoring in the future of the polycrisis? And how does that utilise your skill set? Or what do you need to do to develop? We'd recommend reading The Business Value of Corporate Security by Rachel Briggs. We think you'll find some interesting areas there. If you look at the reasons for increasing your salary, you will see that the blue line is quite prevalent, which is the annual increase. Most people got it. It's the reason why. In the years of the pandemic, one of the areas was either increasing your responsibility, so that would have been an additional job title and role, or even job re-evaluation. And that increasingly, that brown line, was over those years seen as being one way that you would increase your salary outside of that just annual increase. However, we've seen that go down slightly this year, and it's interesting to see that the peak of the pandemic, that's where people were re-evaluating the security professional and what they were doing. These are some of the job sectors that we actually looked at. Increasingly, agriculture is now something which is across the whole of Europe, not just the vastness of the fields of Poland and Ukraine and the viviculture of Moldova, but actually now our urban agriculturists, which will be increasingly how the world feeds its cities, because we don't have vast areas of land mass where we can also control the weather. So obviously doing something within your city where you can go and pick fresh herbs in the workplace, where you can have vegetables or whatever um, grown near you, has got to be something which the future will be part of and will develop more and more to feed our growing urban populations.
Most valued at this level of Chief Security Officer or Global Risk and Resilience Director will be their LTIPs, the long-term incentive plan, rewarding growth that they are contributing to. With artificial intelligence integration into business services and the coming EU AI legislation, governance will be far in excess of that required for GDPR and equally costly if you get it wrong. Increasingly, we see sustainability incorporated into their job titles, as the security professional of today is aptly suited to ensuring the health and reputation of the corporation. The CSO of today is very much inside the circle of trust at board level.
For the EMEA security head, more professionals populate the banding of 100 to 142,000. For the European security lead, the banding increased is between that 75k and 118,000. Levels of bonus, traditionally at 15 to 25%, have increased to a medium now in the region of 25 to 35%. This is aiding retention levels, although corporations since mid-23 have not, preferably, not recruited all the gaps and are seeking to cover through existing structures. Globally, we see 4 million cyber vacancies open, and we do not see this area reducing very soon. In fact, if we add in the possibilities that AI brings, you can see that this will be an area that will just grow and grow. As Europeans, we have access to a diverse labour pool, which has insulated many of the established European economies by recruiting talented people from those nations that have acceded to the EU in the past 20 years. The growth of English as a second language for generations Y and Z has assisted companies in nearshoring many back-of-house functions. But we need to be aware that wage costs have increased by an average of 15% in the past 12 months in countries such as Croatia, Hungary, and Romania. The rise in STEM students with increasing female representation comes at a time when we have over 300,000 cyber roles in Europe needing to be hired. In 2025, we will see more than ever a growth in computer sciences graduates coming into the workplace. A high proportion will be filled by those that have studied in former Soviet states, where education is well resourced and focused and suited to a world opening up today. Our Costa Cappuccino diagram changes annually, with our chart highlighting the 100% difference between the cost of coffee in Porto and that in Copenhagen. For a number of years, we've plotted the generations, and from 2018, we've seen 5 generations in the workplace until, of course, AI replaces us. The areas to highlight is not our iconic toys from roller skates to fidget spinners, or our increase in robots, so that next year you'll be sitting with your colleague who's actually a cobot and there to join you and help you in your workplace. But the difficulties that generations can have in their leadership styles, from director's style of baby boomers to Generation Z empowering, or the alphas inspiring leadership. Whilst we wait for the alphas to populate the workforce in 2030, we should note that they will be the most prolific generation, with over 2 billion having been born by the end of 2024. Predicting is a well-paid career, and we seek to spot the opportunities for the security professional. The metaverse, that lawless place in VR, is maturing fast. Whilst civil cases for intellectual property infringement may be all we see today, the explosive nature of the delivery of services in education and healthcare are being quickly monetized. The application of gaming brings real-world jeopardy. AI replacing 45% of the activities in paid jobs of today. Bioprinting of organs for our healthcare. 3D printing bringing manufacturing to communities that cannot sustain a large manufacturing facility are just a few of the areas that we can see the security professional having a role to play. Jobs of the future. The growth in brain therapies, the ability to electronically store your thoughts and knowledge rather than cryogenics and preserving your decaying body, will lead to valuable resources needing protection. Please scan the QR code if you would like to save a copy of this image, just to tribute us. Urban agriculturalists, not afraid of heights, will be in demand. Custom organ designers for bioprinting. Computer personality designers for your co-worker robot. The increase in wealth across China, India, and Africa will lead to all the new jobs we need to create. This boom, through the growth of the middle classes, will also consume far too many of our planet's resources. I wish to thank ASIS International for their support and the team at SSR for producing this presentation. We look forward to seeing you in Dublin in March 4th to 6th, 2025. Please scan the QR code now on the screen, as it will take you to our communications tree. All our services, all our articles, salary surveys. Any feedback on this presentation, please email me personally or through our info@email. Please feel free to share this presentation.